So that's absolutely great. So Mariangela, let me just tell our audience what we are talking about. We have been doing podcasts on retail. We've been talking about all these challenges like omni-channel, frictionless, you name them. But we want today to have a view on the retail industry from the end user point of view. We want to know what the big players in the industry are thinking about, what they are needing, and how our resellers can answer that need. So no one else better than Mariangela Vistocco, Vertical Account Manager for Retail in Honeywell. Hi Mariangela, how are you?
Thank you. Hi Paco.
So when we are talking about these changes in the retail, I think, and you have mentioned a few times today, that the most important is really to understand that the change is, of course, in retail, but it's happening because there is a change in the consumer.
Yeah.
And before we go there, I think it's very nice to see what is the environment of the economy, how things are happening, what is impacting the retail in this moment, and how we are, let's say, experiencing those challenges. So let me know, how do you see the environment in this moment?
We are in a very strange environment. It's very challenging environment because you mentioned before that the first change, the most important change that we are facing in the last 4 years, is the consumer change, and it's true. But in my opinion, we need to identify, we need to understand what is doing about economy, because we face a pandemic. You know that lockdown was terrible for everything and change every rules that we could imagine. And last year we start with a lot of energy, I think, last year in 2022.
But with a lot of different troubles, with a lot of supply chain strengths and
was terrible. Because after lockdown, we face a crisis, a war, an inflation, a big inflation on the last, I think, 15 years, because we pass from 2 to 10%, and this was has a huge impact on the global economy. So we face an increasing on goods. We face a lack of materials.
Correct.
Everyone was impacted from paper to technology, from the simple good to chipset. It was a very difficult environment to work on. And also the economy had increasing cost impact on transport and logistics. And we know very well, when we spoke about retail, we are very linked on transport and logistics.
Correct.
And all the global supply chain suffer a lot. So the retailer that are our customer, the customer that we face day by day, was so suffering because they were just starting to keep the momentum, to starting with and embrace the changing, and they have a very difficult life to put all the situation
But
together.
let's also face it, Mariangela, because we are talking about all these troubles that we have suffered as a society, but also in the retail. But that also means that there is big opportunities. In Chinese, sometimes the word crisis also means opportunity, right? So I think a lot of retailers have seen those opportunities and have taken them. But again, always based on the change of the consumer. That is the key element in this.
This is the key elements, changing consumer and changing the way to do consumer was the real key element for retail to change. And I think we need also to do some thinking, some word. We need to spend some word just to understand how the consumer are changing, and also how the way and the habit they are changing, because we are changing as a society.
Absolutely. To be honest, I mean, we are masters in this moment in really classifying customers, right? Classifying the consumers. You know, we are talking about the boomers, the X generation, the Z generation, the old people. So, I mean, you're also looking at that, right? From the perspective of the end user, you need to take into account what are the habits of the people classified by the different levels.
In fact, the big power are not in the young generation, unfortunately, because they are the more.
I wonder what they think about that.
But we have a lot of old people. Old means more than 65, 67. So when they are retired, they are still in good position, and they are also curious, and they are using a lot of technology. They are doing sports. They are using, in a good way, in my opinion, their time, because they want to do sports. They want to be informed. They want to know very well and keep the momentum and live their life.
So we also have a lot of stereotypes, you know, on these different groups of consumers, you know, and this, for example, we are talking about the older generation, people over 65 years old, you know, we automatically think that they are not using technology. And I think they are using technology massively. They might not be using that technology in the same way as the young generation, but they are using technology, right?
Yeah. Last week I read that more or less more than 66% of old people are using a smartphone.
That's massive.
Yes, it's massive. Absolutely. It's massive, and we can understand how the habit are changing also for the old generation, because we talk about millennials because they are digital native, and obviously they born with an iPhone and a smartphone. But also the older people are using technology, and obviously they impact on the consuming. And then another trend is really important are the new, is not a generation for age, but is a category, is a perennial. Perennial means the person more or less more than 40 years that are curious, do keep the public transport, is reducing meat consumer. So they are more green, curious, and they use a lot of technology to be informed.
This is very curious.
Yeah.
This is very curious. And also, to be honest, I didn't expect it, because normally we tend to think that the most green people is probably the younger generation. The most eco-conscious people is also the younger generation. What you are telling me is the perennials, you know, are probably having a bigger presence in this area than the younger generation.
Yeah. And old people and perennials have a big power of spend.
Which is interesting, of course, for the retailers, right?
Because millennial, as we know, millennial are the young people that born from 81, so the digital native. Still 25% are still living at home.
Correct.
So because they have no big income, and this is an issue. But they can influence the consumer. So the retailer have to keep all the different trends and all the different area and invest in, because now the millennials. So the retailer, that means that retailers have to take in account these three different areas, and also the different habit to do purchasing, to do
But
consuming.
Absolutely normal, of course. And I think the retailers are always looking at this, but maybe now they have more groups to be taken into account. I think the retail is getting closer and closer and trying to adjust, almost to the one single person desires, the wishes. And this is absolutely important.
Yeah.
You also mentioned something that caught my attention. To be honest, I don't know the impact in retailers, but you also said that there is a higher instability, in the population itself, right? It's just people is living more alone and not so much in a family. There is a change there. A lot of people is getting married, but they get a bigger percentage of divorce. Is that really an influence on the retail?
And you can imagine the complexity of this market, because I love retail and I'm working on retail since 5 years, because it's a real complex market, and is a real challenge to work on and to help our retailers, our end user, to grow and to embrace the wind of change.
That also, as I said before, I think this also gives a lot of opportunities to people, because some of the resellers which are working with Blue Star, with Honeywell, they also need to offer different things to the retailers, to the end users. And of course, the more they know where the gaps, where the opportunities are, the more they will be able to offer services which will help them to grow their business. And I want just to take a look also in the B2C. One of the things that we assume is that online purchasing is massive, is huge, and it's happening. But you told me it's not that huge.
Yeah.
So, and you were mentioning something like average in Europe is like 17%, something like that, and no more than that, which means that countries are going between 10 and 25, but still 75% is done through the normal brick and mortar shops.
Yeah.
So, how do you see that?
Yeah, if we have a look into the data, we can see that online, so online means buy online and click in the shops or wait for home delivery. So this is the online.
Yes.
The online, if we have a look on the global data for Europe, more or less, as you mentioned before, is 70%. So means
17%.
17%. So means that a huge the total of the whole numbers purchasing are still done in the shops. And we can mention about a new word. The American people create a new word. The new word is phygital. So means
it's a combination.
The combination between physical and digital, like omnichannel. So everything, every retailer now is looking for omnichannel, but phygital is more, in my opinion, is more strong because reflect the reality. So the consumer needs to choose every day in which channel they can do the shop, and the retail have implement a phygital model.
It's a kind of a strategy, because I mean, it's also very interesting what you also mentioned before when we were talking about the numbers, and then when you consider these 17% of European consumers buying online, you're also including there a 5% of the total purchase, which is done on click and collect. Click and collect means also that you are purchasing online, but you're picking in the shop. So you are physically going to the shop. So the shops are still having a presence. And it seems, to my knowledge, to understanding, that the combination of both is probably the strongest strategy that you can have. Not only one, not only the other, the combination of both. Right?
The combination. And the number for click and collect, it will be increased
Yeah.
So this is a trend. This is a trend that we face, and we show also in the big show that we face in retail. So in January we had NRF in New York, and just 2 weeks ago we had Euroshop in Düsseldorf. And the trends that came from these two big, let me say, show are that click and collect, it will be grow a lot and lot in the next more or less 4 or 5 years. We will increase in general worldwide the numbers more in click and collect than in home delivery, because click and collect is more simple, obviously. Simple and more convenient for the consumer.
But why? Because honestly, if I buy something at home, I wanted to have it back at home, and this is something that cannot let's say influence the fact that let me put it this way. I think it's much more comfortable if I buy something and they bring it at home. Why should I go to a shop? Is it social? Is it because I trust more to buy somewhere where I see there is something in the back? Maybe this is on my age. I'm one of those perennials, but maybe it's not in the age of my kids. So why is it so important?
This is a combination. I think we need to think about also what you are buying. So if you talk about food, is really simple to click on to click online and
get your food or get your product, whatever.
Buy online and collect on the store.
Okay, yes.
Why? Because for retailer is more simple, because the transport, the collecting, the delivery is a complex way to implement. And also for the consumer is simple, because you have all your expenses already done, could be also outside of the shop. You click and go away by car, and you think also about the cost of transportation, because the consumer are fully aware that the cost of the transport, the service is cost. So if you don't want to pay for cost, you can move and collect in shop. So I think this is a real combination. It's different for other product or for services.
Yes.
So in my opinion, we need to talk about which kind of goods we want to buy online.
Okay.
And also from the age of the people. We mentioned the age of the people. So in general, more the young generation doesn't matter. They buy online everything, but old people or perennial or the people that have more than 40 years prefer also to touch, to see, and also for a social experience, because
that's also true. And to be honest, I also have perceived that this social experience is not something unusual also for the younger generations. Even if they buy online, they also want to be together shopping, to experience, to see, to touch, etc. Maybe less than what we used to do, like 30 years ago, but still is a variable in this equation, that's for sure. So, Mariangela, we have been talking about the economy. We've been talking about the different groups of consumers. We have concluded, of course, that the retail is changing not because of technology, but because the consumer is changing and the habits are driving a technological change. So, I think we need to recap this in where the challenge is, because if we may identify where the challenge is for the retail, most of the resellers and system integrators will know where they can add value to their consumers. So, from your point of view, from your experience, which are the main challenges that the retail are facing in this moment?
The main challenge are to have happy consumer. So how the retailer can have happy consumer and loyal consumer, loyal
So it's about trust.
trust.
Okay.
We can say that the best way is to give to them a real good shopping experience in store or out store. So means to reach them through different channel. So if the consumer want to buy online, they can.
Yes.
And if the consumer would like to
go to the shop, you mean?
To go to the shop, they can. So the omni-channel is the key, but omni-channel means also to have a good customer experience in store, because store we faced before, we spoke about numbers before. In store is really important.
So you mean you can have a very good experience, for example, online, and then you can do your shopping and it's great. And then when you go to the shop, you have to wait too long. The unit is wrong, it's in bad condition. So you have to, then this influences also the complete experience that you have in this purchase.
Yeah. When you reach the shop, you want to have good on stock, because we want to keep the goods whatever you want and bring the goods at home. You want to have information, so you want to have operator always available to give to you all the detail related to the goods. You don't want to wait for a long queue, because 47% of consumer that face a long queue in a shop don't come back.
That's something very interesting, because I mean, when you are mentioning, it drives exactly to that. It's not only about selling, it's about making the consumer to go back and buy again, right? So this is all about trust. Loyalty of the consumer. Having a good experience means that you will buy one and again and again and again. Right?
Yes, exactly. And I read a lot of numbers related pandemic and the lockdown and blah 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 blah. And I understand that consumer don't change shop only for price, not for price, but for the experience they do in that shop. So this is really important for the retailer, because they can pay, the consumer can pay for the services. So means the price is not the only driver.
So what you're telling me is that the consumer is willing to pay more for service. Before you were also mentioning a couple of things that, okay, in that case, they were very much related to Italy, but I think they can really be expanded, used for the whole Europe, because you were mentioning hard discount chains, which are also, let's say, adding services on top of the proposal. Typically, hard discount, the proposal is based on price. But of course, it seems that they themselves, they realize it's not enough. So they need to put more services. You were also mentioning customers, big supermarket chains, high-level supermarket chains, where they are giving services to the old people, and of course, the old people is willing to pay more to have those services. So the whole experience, of course, is great, and people is willing to pay. That's the message.
Yeah, this is the message. Hard discount hard discount in general don't have online shopping in general. Yeah. But the habit is changing because they face the lockdown period, and when the online was not available, consumer change, because you will lock in the home and so on. So we are facing now different type of supermarket. If we talk about GDO, if we talk about food, and it depends from the category that retailer is.
Yes.
Not every retail are changing in the same way, obviously, because they are different strategies. So hypermarket, supermarket, hard discount, but they have one thing in common. They have to keep the loyal of their consumer and give to them a good experience in
absolutely
general. Good experience means online and in store,
offline. Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, and by the way, this happens to any single let's say vertical, not only to retail. So that's clear. I think the second challenge that the retail has got, and again by extension also all the system integrators which are really offering services to them, is really the let's say the to allocate the budget in the best possible way. We are talking about return of investment, and this is something that makes a lot of retailers very insecure. How is your vision on that? How is Honeywell, answering that kind of need?
Today, more than yesterday or some years ago, we talk and we face budget issue in the customer because the economy and what we say before.
Even if the economy is good, this is a key element.
Yeah, this is key elements. So to have a good return of investment, we as Honeywell we are working a lot to build a strategy really focused on the customer. I want to mention our Mobility Edge platform because this is a real key element that we bring on the market, not only on retail, because obviously Mobility Edge is across also on the other markets. But we produce and project a platform to drive the customer to face the changing when Windows disappear from the market. Because when Windows disappear from the market, each customer face the needs to change and to evolve and change this their equipment, their mobile computer and so on. And we project Mobility Edge, that is a platform, is not product by product, but is platform with its unique core. And we, let me say, we change only the form factor of the terminal. So we have different terminal for shop, for warehouse,
with the same heart.
With the same heart. So, what means for the end user? Means that they can count on a platform that is the same when also the application change, when the Android evolve, and they can reduce the time spent and the time and the effort spent to build and adapt the application, because the time and the expenses to build and upgrade the application is a huge cost that in general, when you are buying or you are planning a project, is not a cost so
No, but I know what you mean. I mean, basically what you're telling us is that there is a platform, and then whatever technology you are changing, updating, upgrading, because it's based in the same platform, is going to be much easier. And of course, that ensures that everything that you are adding, which is belonging to this platform, will be also compatible, which means the return of investment, the lifespan of your system, your integration is going to be much, much bigger. Much higher. Which is
and
key.
Also the life cycle of the product is longer. Because I have a lot of customers that don't choose the PDA, the terminal, they choose Mobility Edge. Why? Because we can offer, for example, 7 years of services. So you imagine a retailer or also in another market, a customer that can face an investment in this period when Android is run
This is
for
fantastic.
7 years.
It's very good because that also covers the gap between the perennials and the older, or between the young and the perennials. So you are now answering all the market period. You're safe.
In fact.
Okay.
So, but our strategy is not only offer mobility edge to the end user. So we have also a family of product like our friends competitor.
Yes.
So a sort of product cheaper.
Yes.
So retailer has a big impact when they plan a rollout because they have a lot of shop. I have some customer with thousands of shops, and so they can choose or return of investment, long life, or short terms, and the solution more cheaper. Correct. So I think we can have whole solution to propose to the customer. Yes. It depends from their strategy.
That's clear. And also one of the things that you have mentioned, one of the, if not the third biggest challenge of the retail is also to, let's say, reorganize the process, the process organization. And that was something I could not really understand. I mean, I understand the concept, but I don't know how this could mean also an opportunity, for the resellers, for the integrators. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, to reorganize the process is the first step. The first step, because when you want to embrace the wind of change, you have to think about your process, how the process is working, how I can improve, and then you can choose the technologies. But process and technologies are really related each other.
Yes, because you're talking about things which are so practical as reducing or the reduction of the distance to the customer, for example. This is supply chain, is impacting that. So that's an opportunity too.
Or for example, you think about dark store or click and collect. For example, just for click and collect, you have to understand how you want to put in place the solution. For example, you want to click in store, or you want to create a little environment. Obviously, you start to click in store because it's more simple. But click in store means that you have to pick up the goods when the customer is working on. So it's not simple to do this operation, and this operation has a high cost, also related to the instrument that you are working, you are adopting. So the trends now is to have free hands, for example, because free hands can improve the process. But the different story could be in the dark store, because dark store is a shop without customer. But without customer could be a different situation, because dark store is more related to logistic, to warehouse, than shops. Correct. So talking about process, in my opinion, is the right strategy, the right approach to talking with the customer. Absolutely. Because if we don't know their process, we can suggest the right technology to adopt.
That's absolutely good. So we are now closing to the end of this podcast, Mariangela. So, but I don't want to finish without talking about also one of those concepts, which are really impacting retail, and it's really in the mouth of everyone in the industry, is the shopping without barriers, So I would like to know, what barriers are you seeing? Because those barriers might have been changed in the last 20 years. We might be having new barriers, and some others are just fall down. So what means shopping without barriers? Why is that an opportunity?
This is a big opportunity, first of all, because we need to talk about shops, so brick and mortar, what the American call brick and mortar. Brick and mortar is still alive, and these are the main focus for retail. So we have to implement a real good experience for the end.
It's not only still alive. It's as you have said before. It's the majority
growing.
Still.
It's the majority,
of the shopping,
yes. And we need to give to the consumer a frictionless experience.
Yes.
So what means frictionless experience? Means that you have, first of all, have the right instrument for the right application, but you have to give the right instrument to the operator, because the operator has to be very concentrated on the consumer, not concentrated on the technology, because the technology is just a way to give information. So you have to implement communication between operator, for example, flexible payment. So mobile payment, self payment, self operation, and everything that the consumer needs to be concentrated in the shopping, not only in the other things that cannot avoid the a good experience that the customer want to do.
Absolutely.
When you go to.
I think that was very, very clear. So thank you, Mariangela. So I think this is a podcast where we have been touching also retail in a very different way than the retail podcast, which were much more focused on the payment area and the POS applications, etc. We have been talking about the end user experience, the end user vision, and I think this is also one of the messages that I would like to give to the audience, to our resellers and to our system integrators, to our customers in general, from both Blue Star and Honeywell. If you are approaching your customers, the big retailers, the small retailers, and you are talking about loyalty, how to increase the loyalty of their customers or their end users. If you are talking about how to increase the return of investment, how to make more efficient, with the technology you're offering, their choice. And if you are talking about how to organize the process, that they are also experiencing, in the day-to-day business, then you probably have a winning area, an open window to discuss, how to increase your business with them. So, Mariangela, it was very good. Thank you very much for having given us this vision, and we hope to see you around very soon.
Thank you to you, and thank you to Blue Star to give me this opportunity.
Thank you.